go.
Well, everybody, welcome to another edition of Inspiring Connections, episode 12. How you doing, Misty?
I'm doing good.
And we are in our regular studio, but for this week,
Yes.
we went on the road. Mm-hmm. And we visited our friend Ann Tran in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And while we were down there, we did our live show, PodJam TV Live, on Sunday night. And we interviewed the one and only Jessica Northey,
Yes.
another good friend. Mm-hmm. And Jessica's really the inspiration for our live show and really our podcast too. You know, because we get a lot of the content for our podcast through our live show. So we were talking Google Plus and Hangouts and how to use both, right?
How to rock a Hangout.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, some really good conversation there. And we had some special guests. Ann
Yes.
Tran, we had Ben, Super Ben on Twitter. And you might see him in, if you're watching the video, you might see him. I'm not sure if we left him in or not. But it was great. We really want to thank Ann Tran for letting us use her house to do the live show. And again, a lot of this content for this podcast, this episode, comes from that live show. So without any further ado, let's get right into it with Jessica Northey and talking Google Plus and Google Hangouts.
Hey guys, how are you? Happy weekend. Are you having fun in DC?
Oh, it's been a blast. Yeah, weather's been great, so we've had fun.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah,
I know.
Absolutely.
It looked exciting. Oh my God. Can you believe what an amazing photographer our little friend Ann Tran is? Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's got some killer, her eye, the way she takes pictures, angles, just what she sees and puts it out there. Really, really love it.
Yeah, we had a couple of beautiful days here, and we went to, Ann hosted a tweet up, and we met, we have Sean Gardner tomorrow night, and Super Ben, who is here.
Yes.
He might not come out, but he is here helping us tweet. Ann's here helping us tweet.
Thank you, Super Ben.
So,
Tell them they need to bomb you before. You guys didn't see this when we were
you
out
never
there.
know. I think Ben might do a little photobomb of the tweet. So this is the first for PodJam TV Live. So and Jessica, you being experienced, so you'll know you'll know what's going on here. You want to? Oh, and I think Ben is going to walk past us here. So that's Ben. He might make some appearances here in the background. So we're gonna have some fun today. So why don't we get right into it with Jessica? We'll talk Google Hangouts. You want to take the first question?
Yeah. You've achieved a great deal of success building your community on Google Plus and especially doing Google Hangouts on air. For those who are new to social networking, what is Google Plus and what are Hangouts?
Basically, Google Plus, to me, is like almost like a hybrid. It's like a love child of Facebook, Twitter, with a little bit like I think LinkedIn is the mailman. But it's an evolutionary jump to make social networking better. And a Hangout basically is just a video chat that's similar to Ustream. And I like Google Plus because it integrates all the products into one place. So it's like, my Gmail's there, my YouTube, my Google Docs, my Google Drive, everything. And I happen to be a huge, and Chrome. I've been using Chrome ever since, I guess I broke up with Internet Explorer 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah, and you're on Windows, right, Jess?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm not a Macer like all my friends.
That's all right.
I'm still a PC.
But Google Chrome tends to work pretty well with Hangouts.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know what? Go figure.
Yeah, right.
It works really good. I know a lot of people that use and if anyone's watching this, Chrome is a browser basically, and there's AOL had a browser, Internet Explorer is a browser. It's just a way to taking the internet when it's all goobly gob code and making it look pretty on screen. And so the Chrome browser, I believe it's fast, and it's to me, it works well with every product that I use on Google Plus. But Google Plus has become, for me, a more tight way to communicate with specific groups, because I can send out content that's to people who've chosen that want me to send them country music content. I can send just country music content to them. I can send music content to people that have identified themselves that they want music. I can send social media content. It's very, whereas like Facebook's just like my family and it's really good friends. I keep that one kind of private. Twitter, it's open source and it's quick 140 characters. Google Plus for me actually has replaced my blogging. I tend to put more content up over there and then write about it over there. And it's more than you could do in 140 characters, or I think Facebook's like 200 or 500 characters. Right. So anyways, I mean, and I don't blog as much as I used to. And man, do I get really good SEO. I run like a Google alert on and another Google product. God, it sounds like I'm in a love fest with Google. But I'll get Google alerts, not just on my name, but on the word country music or on stuff from things I post.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And now, speaking of Google Plus, I know that's an up-and-coming network, and people are familiar with certainly Twitter and Facebook. CM Chat and Hangout, two great brands that you're building in country music, and I know Hangout kind of combining Twitter and Hangout, and Google Hangouts. How did you get started with Google Hangouts there? Because you're kind of one of the first people to do it, and you're certainly our inspiration to start our show. How did you get started with that?
Well, you know what? I blame Chris Yates. Chris Yates, and then he said he had the sports and entertainment show. Chris was like, "Oh, you need to come on my show," and I forgot like the whole thing. I was doing some stuff like game day chat stuff for the Dallas Cowboys, and Chris does sports and entertainment. And somehow in conversations it came out that I had helped them start Cowboys Nation stuff, and then I also work with Houston Texans for their game day chat with their fans, and so he brought me on there February of 2012, and that was my first hangout, and I became friends with like Amanda Blaine and Daria Musk and Lynette Young and several other people, and everyone kept telling me, especially Chris was the biggest advocate, saying you really need to take CM Chat and put it on Google Plus. And he introduced me to some people, and then I did my first Google Plus Hangout September 5th. And you guys have been my friends now for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen what's happened to me in the past 6 months? Yeah. It's like all of a sudden my life changed. Video killed the radio star. Video made me, it just supersized everything I was doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned video because that's, again, I think that's kind of on the forefront, and if you're not doing video or multimedia, I think text is great, but you don't really get to see the whole person. And I think for you, and how you combine the Twitter chats and Hangouts, it's just a natural combination. And I agree. We saw how you started with that and the success that you've had. Say, man, that and podcasting and just multimedia, it's just so important.
And it's just been such an interesting thing because I think forever, we know the value of actually meeting each other in person at tweet ups and stuff. And I think forever people might have read my tweets and they may have seen a photo of me. But when you can hear the way I speak and the mannerisms and how I'm pretty I just let it all hang out. I'm like a real person. And I think that when people see that, you go from, and it doesn't mean you could be a funny person or a not so funny person or a newsy person or not so newsy. I think that when people get that connection with you, it's just you become real to them. Just like how we think people on TV when we're watching them, people are in relationships with people on TV that the people on TV don't know they're in. But it's just what happens.
Yeah, don't you feel like the new media versus old broadcast, and I know you have a radio background, in sales and kind of the old media with broadcasting, but digital and new media demands interactivity, and you cannot hide. And I think authenticity is the big thing. If people can see you, then they have that connection with you, and I think you have much more of a chance for success.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And even like you guys, remember what I said to you? I had really watched y'all, and I'd been your friends, and we hadn't yet met in person. And you guys started doing the Pod Jam Live, and I said, this is special, that what you were doing. I told you guys that I'm like, there's something about how connecting to you and your quirks and your laugh and the way you phrase things and how you put questions or the way you tell a story that really made I got closer to you guys, and you didn't even yet know me in person yet.
Yeah, I mean, like you hit it. Be yourself, and I think that's one of the things that we've talked to people. I'm sure you've had the same conversation with people, maybe just want to get started in video, and they're, I don't want to get on the camera, I'm kind of afraid, and what do people think, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to draw the people to you that naturally fit with you, and don't, warts and all, don't be afraid to get on there. And yeah, it took us a while. I mean, when we started our website, I mean, we knew that we had to get on video, and it was scary in the beginning, but I'm glad we did it, and now we're just a lot more comfortable. Speaking of Google Plus, why do you think people should be present and active on Google Plus, say, versus maybe some of the other more well-known social networks like Twitter or Facebook?
Well, there's more people on Google Plus than Twitter right now, and it's growing at an enormous rate. If you look at, I think your buddies at BitRubbles put something up, and look who joined me. It was hello, Sissy. They did an infographic, and at 1 year old where Twitter was at, 1 year old where Facebook was at, or MySpace, and they looked at all the different networks. Google is gobbling everybody.
Yeah.
Like for reals. And it's the circle system and sharing. I mean, it's just a bigger way to piss off more people. In Google Plus, it's the future of social media. It already has bigger user base than Twitter, and it's rapidly catching up with Facebook. And what you post on Google also indexes better on Google search, giving you exceptional SEO. And then every time I say SEO, someone says, what's SEO? Search engine optimization. That's what takes your content, your music video, any news you put out. When people are searching for your content, they will find you. Twitter stopped playing. Twitter used to be able to index on Google, and then do you remember that, Marty, Misty? You might even know better than me that when they cut that off and said no more indexing tweets, and Facebook just flat out doesn't index. Especially your personal stuff, you'll never see it. A Facebook page, I've never seen one index, but I'm told they supposedly do, but I don't know, I don't find content that way. But heck, anything you put on Google Plus, your blog, that stuff indexes in SEO. So if you're writing, like for Anne or for you guys, you write about tech, or someone writes about photography, luxury travel. Well, when somebody goes over that doesn't already know you on Twitter or Facebook, and they write in, I'm looking for a cool place to stay when I go to Monte Carlo, or wherever the hell they're going, right? And you've been there and you write about it. If you tweeted about it, they aren't going to see it. If you posted it on Facebook with the cool pictures, they won't see it. But if you put it on Google Plus or your blog, guess what? And if
it shows right away.
Right, and if you have a product, if you're just trying, if you're trying to become an expert in a specific field, it's also a really great thing, because anytime now that somebody puts in social media and country music, because I use those words a lot in my blog and on Google Plus, it's easier that they're going to find me. And it, so I think it all depends on what your goals are.
Yeah,
but I found it to be a helpful tool for me, for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned the SEO aspect. Obviously, Google is a leading search engine out there. You could see where they're going with this. They're kind of uniting all their products. I mean, Google Hangouts to Air is a good example of that, where now they've combined Hangouts, which was a separate product, with YouTube, and that's how we're doing this show. And that's how you do your shows as well, is you now have that outlet on YouTube, and you can embed it right on your page, and it's a nice marriage there, and you can see where this is going. If you using the Google products, you're going to get indexed quicker, and it's going to make a big impact as far as people finding you.
Wow, I just, you know what, when I'm hosting, it's a little bit easy. Now I have a total different feeling for guests, because when I'm hosting, I can tweet and do all this stuff. So to everybody out there, when you've been a guest and I've been like, why aren't you tweeting during the thing? I am so sorry. It's hard to be a guest and to think. And
yes.
I see my friend Bethany and Jean Parks and Deborah and Misty and Ben, and I see Danielle. All my friends are watching. Jarrett Payton. Everybody, love you guys.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I mean, during the show here, I don't do any. I worry about the technical setup and the hosting, and then Misty's handling all. So I would never be able to do all that stuff, And I don't know how when you do those red carpets, I don't
Oh
know
my goodness,
how
how do you do it?
you
Oh my
do
goodness.
that. I mean, it's like, because I'm in television and I know what kind of preparation it takes. Jessica, it's like, wow. It's like, how do you do all that? I have no idea.
Oh my
It's
God.
crazy.
Well, I've never been the guest. I'm always the one doing it all. But I know when I'm in it and I'm asking questions are easy for me to ask, but to answer is a little different. So I don't answer any questions. I'm just like, I'm the interviewer. So this is different. It's cool
exactly,
though.
exactly. Now, speaking of Google Plus, and obviously it's a growing network. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. What are your tips in building your presence and your community on G Plus, and like sort of like the do's and the don'ts? Let's say about your first 3 tips.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, I'll say one thing that's really huge on here is look for people that are sharing content and things that you are into. So, like on Twitter, it's a wide open territory and you use hashtags and stuff. In Google Plus, you can go over, and what I did right away is I put country music in, and I just started following people and circling people that liked country music. And it was easy for me to identify them, like either by words or I could look and, and I started the community over there too, so they kind of found me. Communities on Google Plus is different from being on Google Plus. It's another tool, but I won't try to confuse anyone. But one thing is look for the things that you're interested in and circle those people. And you can circle 5,000 people, so you can have like 500 circles of 100 people, right? So, or you could put 50 people and make smaller circles. And then when you share content, like if people are really into bacon or they're really into let's say Catterday or Star Wars Tuesday. There's really cool things that happen on Google Plus, like event days. There'll be like Tree Thursday or like Wildlife Wednesday. And you start to build into those communities. And if you put up a picture that's of relevance to that category, and then you let the people know that are wanting that, and you send it out to them and you hashtag it. That's one thing that I found really great. And for people who already have a presence on Twitter and on Facebook or on their blog, use your other. I've always been a huge advocate of cross-promoting all of your different. If you've known one thing about me is I'm pretty like even across all my networks, except Facebook, because I keep Facebook very private and I don't have a huge thing over there. I've always kept it kind of, I don't let everybody over there. But I do post stuff on Google Plus, right? Then I grab, you ever heard of Bitly? It's like a URL shortener. So I'll take my Google Plus post and then I'll tweet it. So what I did is I essentially brought a lot of people from Twitter over to Google Plus, right? And then I was mixing it up and I'll do stuff, like it's just kind of one little aspect. Tag, the other thing too is like share other people's posts, comments, +1 a lot of things, like, follow other people. Find your core group, maybe like say 20 people, and get into these communities and they do a lot of hangouts. Not just these kind of hangouts, the hangouts that happen, they're just public
like
hangouts.
more spontaneous hangouts?
Right. They're very like, you just go in like on a morning, and if you're following people and they followed you back or circled you back, and they'll invite you into hangouts. I do hangouts all the time that aren't on air, like me and my friends. That's where we have our meetings at all the time. And I think photos it's a huge, rich media, and photos do really well there. So one thing I could say is, like, if I'm telling a story about a current event topic or something country music, or I want to get something across, I try to use a picture that is relevant to my story. And like, so for example, Star Wars Tuesday, I'm a country girl, right? So I'll find maybe the stormtrooper wearing a cowboy hat with a guitar, and right away people who, if they see the Star Wars Tuesday and they're like, oh, she likes music, it might attract them. It seems that like attracts like over there very fast.
Right.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. Yeah, and you're talking about Google Hangouts and even spontaneous Hangouts, and they're a lot of fun. And I think people like doing once they try it. Do you see video as a whole, becoming a bigger part of social sharing?
Absolutely. I think people are like, if I read you what my friends had, people are lazy too. And I mean, and the world's becoming very lazy. Like, instead of having to watch or to read a blog post, if you give them the option, I think, I mean, and I'm not very good at this, so I help my clients do this kind of stuff, but I say, like, if you're going to write, a blog post, your blog post, keep them short and simple, right? But do a video and be like, hey, blah, 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 in your video. People are probably going to watch your video more likely than they're going to read your blog. But if you have the main points of what you say in your video and your blog, you still want to, I guess you kind of got to make content meet people where they're at. Because if I'm at work, I'm probably not watching videos. And you have to think about when you're posting stuff, the time of day, where people probably are and how they're using it. Are more people on their phones? Are you creating content that people can get on their iPad? So I mean, a lot of that stuff you have to keep in mind. Again, I'll always say it goes back to what are your goals. But the video, you guys, like, holy cow, if I'd have known video would do this for me, I'd have been here 3 years ago. I just didn't have that. I came from radio, and I had that I got a face for radio attitude. I'm like, I don't want to be on video, and I was scared of what I might say or do, and now I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, I've done 500 of these, and I'm like, I am me. So I am.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's funny because I know for us it was, and I think for a lot of people it's just fear factor. And what you mentioned, combining the written post with the video, and it gives them multiple types of media to look at and consume. Maybe they do want to, maybe they are at work and they want to read the text. It can cover the main points, but then the video, what that does, that gives them a chance to see you. You're talking with them and they get to know you, and a little bit more authentic, versus just a written post with a byline, and but you have to kind of get through that fear, to begin with. With Hangout, you got a question?
I just have a question for Jessica. From Joey Ritchie. I guess he was listening to you earlier talking about Facebook. He says, do you think it makes a difference if your Facebook is set to public as far as indexing goes?
Everybody says that it does, but I have yet to ever, you guys, let's be honest, and you've got people in the room there, have you ever Googled for something and been led to someone's Facebook page?
Exactly.
I've never. It supposedly does, but I've never seen it happen. So if indeed, like it says it does, having it public, I honestly don't, I've never looked up, if I was like, okay, my dog is having this issue with whatever and writing it in there, I always end up either at a video, a YouTube video, or somebody's blog. So if indeed it does, it's probably, do you ever go to page 2 or page 10 on Google search?
Right. Yeah, very rarely, right?
I'm lazy.
Rare.
Lazy. Ain't gonna lie.
Very
good point.
Yeah, it is a good point. Yeah. You want to take the next question?
So, what are your tips for producing an informative and entertaining Google Plus Hangout?
What are my tips?
On air.
And you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, because you've been doing a lot of shows lately, and it's hard, to get the type of topic or whatever.
Oh, we got a guest. We got a guest in the back here.
Somebody's
who's that?
Toasting.
You know who that is?
Hi, Ben.
Ben, he's saying hi. He can't hear you because we got the earpieces in, but he's having some champagne.
I noticed he's got on it. I noticed
he's toasting to you, Jessica.
Well, I noticed he's got on a Calvin Lee.
Oh yes.
Shirt.
That's right.
Is Ann gonna make a guest appearance too?
I think she did a little bit. No, she's on the side there. She's being quiet.
She's so cute. What a sweetie.
Following our tweets out.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm being terrible about tweeting, so anyone who's tweeting at me, I swear I'm so sad. Bethany, if you're catching them, or even Scotty, my gang, I'm missing everything.
I'm
sorry.
also trying to get the questions to you. And
yeah, did I have been on the camera? I'm switching the cameras. I don't even know what I'm. I don't think I did.
Oh.
Well, I don't think I had. No, we gotta bring Ben in. I don't think I had. No, see, I didn't have you on the camera. There he is.
Oh, look,
now you
hi,
can see Ben. Super Ben. I think he'll be. I think Ben will be a future guest on Podgen TV Live. So you're getting a preview here. Well, I think so. We'll set that up. Oh yeah, just watch it. Well, we have to talk. So yeah. Anyways, so this is what you get live. This is live. This is what you get. We're on remote. So, anyways, Jessica, back to tips on Google Plus Hangouts. Now you've been doing it for a while. Now people are just getting into it. I think that sometimes they're intimidated because maybe they think it's hard, or they think it's like you need all this equipment, or I can't do it. I'm not technical. Blah blah blah. What do you say to that?
Well, no, I think that Google has made it super easy. Like, if you can turn on a computer, you can be broadcasting live to the world. It's like having your own TV station. But I do think that you have to think about things like what's interesting. Like, the key parts of media I've always felt for myself was, like, tell the truth, make it matter, never be boring, right? And what is boring or not boring in your own world. So, like, if you're a lawyer and you're doing statute law and you're or divorce lawyer, you can't be too entertaining and too funny, because that's not respectable, really. Or if you're a doctor, a gynecologist, like, I don't know anyone who wants their lady doctor to be like making weird videos and stuff, because that's like, But in my industry, in music and in country music or in entertainment, it works really well, or like you in the tech world. So I think, like, knowing your industry and what you can do there and how it makes sense. And again, I'm like a broken record. What are your goals? Because if the outcome, I don't do anything in this world without a goal. And even if people question why I did something, most of the time there's a reason why I did it. I always have some sort of goals, and I move real fast, but I definitely am methodical. And having great guests and tapping into the guests and what kind of following they have. I mean, I've been blessed, because I don't think a lot of people, their third hangout would be interviewing Reba. Like, that was pretty much like, I got lucky in some of this stuff, and I'm blessed because of people that have let me experiment on certain on their like publicists and labels and friends that have let me experiment on their people, which is great, because they're like, okay, they see the value in this, and they understand that I did something great with CM Chat, which CM Chat is going to be 2 years old in a couple weeks. Wow. I'm so excited.
Oh,
wow.
I know, right?
Now, do you find as far as to get guests, I think maybe some people might be intimidated, depending on what their network is like. I mean, do you just ask? How do you find because you have a lot of great guests and you have a lot of great connections. You also do a lot of Hangouts from remote. As far as getting the guests to come on your show, how does that work?
Wait, say it again. Wait, say it like how is it getting guests?
Yeah, because sometimes you have pretty big names. I mean, do you just go out and ask them? I mean,
How do you ask your guests?
Well, I've been really, really, really lucky, because a lot of people, because of CM Chat, they've come to me. But another thing, publicists, start with, so let's say that you're in social media. Start with your friends. Interview your friends first and practice on them. Like, what you guys are a perfect example. Like that one you did, like when I said we got to start doing these, and I had you guys on and I interviewed you, and then you did Joyce, and you had Mark, and you had people and then you continue to have it. Start with the people you think are interesting, because if you think they're interesting, and the people that are going to be interested in you see how that works? It's like a mirror. Hold up a mirror to your friends and your audience and what you find interesting, and more than likely you'll attract that same kind of people. Because, like, let's just say Anne does luxury travel, and Anne's more like sophisticated, and she eats cool food. I like barbecue, and I'm kind of lazy and stuff. And so, like, if I went on and I was like, oh, I'm going to take you guys on this beautiful trip to this luxury wherever, you guys would be looking at me and being like, oh, damn, they better lock up the mini bar. Jessica Northey's coming. Or, it wouldn't make sense. Or, like, if I understand tech to a really nth degree. And if I started doing tech reviews, people are going to look at me and be like, I think she broke that thing, right? like whatever.
But that's a good point. Yeah. That's
I talk about what you know and you love. Tell the truth, make it matter, never be boring.
That's great.
That's great advice. It's really that simple. I mean, you can't get it over your fear.
We have another question. Jason promotes you. Jason. He says, how many times a day should you post on G Plus, and how far apart?
Well, I think it matters. Like, okay, so I haven't figured out the algorithm and stuff over there, but I know that, you know, when you got something to say, post. Like, I'll like put something up over there, and I'll leave it for like 12 hours or 24 hours, and I'll come back and it'll have like 2,000 likes and 1,000 shares, and they max out at 500 comments. But if you put too much stuff, it's almost as if you step on your comments.
Right.
So like if you put something up and it's really good, and then you put something up a half an hour or an hour later, same thing on Facebook I learned, or even on Twitter, like if you step on your good content, it's like you don't give enough people a chance to discover it. And unless you're like repurposing and doing it all over again, like I'll put something up that I'm like, oh my God, I love this. And on Google Plus, I don't think it, like in the stream, because there are people who post a lot of stuff, I don't know, I like to keep one really good thing up rather than have 10 okay things. And I mean, that again goes back to your goals, because there is a lot of people that are over there for search engine optimization. So maybe I should be posting more, but I've decided over there it was more, even like there and on my Instagram, it's more about quality than quantity for me. And I mean, I might over tweet a lot, but I mean, again, it's what are my goals? Like, you know, am I trying to catch people at a certain time of day? Am I using keywords? What am I doing? And and I do over on Google Plus, so you don't have to just go post on your own page. There's communities over there, so go get on communities, and when you feel like I have to post, why not go post on people's make comments on people's posts and share, and then you're leaving even deeper roots for yourself, and you're, you know, meeting more people. I've concentrated on that a lot more because I'm on like a lot of bloggers or country music blogs out there, so instead of me posting so much, I spend more time on other people's stuff. And that's made a big difference for me too, because gives me visibility with them. So like if you're, I don't know, like if you just start wanting to be a social media expert to a bunch of other social media experts, maybe, you know, you want to go and post on like the usual suspects blogs, right? You know, but then if you want to be a content expert in pediatrics or podiatry or dieting or health and fitness, you probably want to go, I mean, if you're in your field, so say you're local and you're trying to establish a local base, I don't know, I mean, again, it's going to go back to goals again. So like me, I try to like the country music thing, so I know that country music fans are going to go and read these blog posts, so I try to leave comments there, because then they're like, oh, that's that Jessica Northey, and if I write something that's like amazingly awesome, then maybe they're like, oh, she's really got good stuff to say. And I mean, it's all about establishing credibility in your own field of expertise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guess what?
It's time.
We're like 30 minutes in already, or a little over.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if we're missing anybody online. If anybody wants to,
we can there's been a lot of like people saying hello to Jessica.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of hellos on Twitter. We're watching the Twitter feed here.
Everyone's enjoying. Like Patricia's on there right now.
Yeah, people are really getting a lot out of this. Jess.
We have Bethany.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Bethany, please.
Good.
Bethany on air. I think she's your friend. I've seen her a lot on CM Chat. Whenever
She's
I
awesome. She's
CM
wicked
Chat.
smart.
Yeah.
Oh, and Justin Brackett, when he said
yes, Justin is here too.
Hi, Justin. No, Justin, I was saying something about looking back at Google Plus, but no, I mean, if he's seen people do right on pages, I just know that when I go looking for stuff, like I don't think when I look, I go gut look. Like, oh, I'm looking for so-and-so. Like, how do you blah, blah, blah? Or how do you make a quiche? How do you do that? I'm just saying, like, when I go look at it, I generally, whatever's on that first page, I don't see a lot of Facebook pages. And maybe I'm not looking for that. Maybe, I don't know. See, does that make sense, Justin? Like, where it's about what I look for and what other people look for, not about what's presented. It's what we're looking, and is what we're looking for there when we want to see it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, everybody. I had a blast. We should do this more often.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. This was a quick 30. Oh my good, Jess. I mean, there's so much we could talk. I mean, obviously we've talked to you many times, and you're incredibly knowledgeable, and certainly our inspiration for doing the show. So yeah, obviously we'd love to have you back at some point. For those of you who missed the live show or just tuning in right now, this does replay back on podjam.tv/live. It will be available for playback. This will also be the main content for our next episode of Inspiring Connections, which is our audio-video podcast, which comes out every Tuesday, right? Available for download on iTunes and also Stitcher Radio for those folks who use that app as well. Before we go, Jess, we want to just get a couple last words from you and where people can find you if they want to know more about Jessica Northey.
Am I muted?
Oh, no, you're on.
Oh, okay. This thing sounds like you're typing, so we muted. You're right. I'm not muted, though. You can find me at jessicanorthey.net. I'm also, I'm Jessica Northey everywhere. You can just Google me and find me. I'm pretty much on Wikipedia. I'm Jessica Northey. I'm Finger Candy Media. I'm Jessica Northey. Yay!
That makes it easy.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's spelling it. See, look, wait. Is my thing right there? Oh,
yeah.
If they want to find me, look what's right in front of me.
Yes. Jessica Northey.
Look, am I pointing at it? Is it pointing at it?
Yeah, you are pointing at it.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
This is what
that
I
makes
look
it
like.
Easy.
This is me on the weekend.
I think that'll do it. Man, another great episode.
Yeah,
with Jessica.
And Jessica was really cool in sharing all her tips. Really helpful, especially for our listeners and our viewers who are interested in doing their own hangouts or doing a similar kind of show as ours. Wherein, they can use this as a great tool.
Right.
Yeah.
And using video, I think a lot of people get nervous going on video. I know we did in the beginning. And it's working through that fear. And it can really be very, very inspirational.
Yep.
And people get to see you in a different light, instead
get
of just
to see
text,
who you are. Yep.
Really, who you are. They get to see you, hear you, interact with you. And Jessica really does that very, very well. And again, we want to thank Antran for hosting us for the live show, and Super Ben for being there as well. We had a great time with them for the week. Kind of spent the weekend with them in Washington.
And also thank you for everybody who participated
it was
in
great.
the Twitter
Especially
chat.
the live show.
The live show in the Twitter chat, because we did show here on the video some of the questions that Jessica answered coming from the community.
Yeah, that
so thank
was
you
fantastic.
so much.
So for those of you who may not know, we do a live show every Sunday night through Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts to air on YouTube, and it's on our website at podjam.tv/live. So if you're on Sunday nights, please tune in, participate via Twitter. You can also watch the show afterwards, right?
Yes. And if you want to know who our guests are for succeeding shows, you can follow us on Twitter at podjam.tv and Facebook. Just look for our page there, because we usually post who the next guests are, so they won't miss it.
Fantastic. Now, before we go, we want to thank our sponsor, furrysketches.com. And that's your project.
It's your place for inspiration. And if you want a customized pet portrait, just go to furrysketches.com/order and order your own design.
Now, all they have to do is upload a clear photograph.
Yes.
And you draw right from that photograph. And you've done a lot of dogs are very popular.
And cats now.
And cats now
too.
are coming in, right? So they make great gifts.
They can frame it. They can give it as a gift to their friends.
Excellent. So check out furrysketches.com. Great stuff over there.
Yep.
I think that'll do it.
Yep.
For another edition of Inspiring Connections, we will see you next time.
Go.